everybody, and welcome to Till Death Do Us Pod with me, Tova Lee.
I mean, Michael Lee.
How are you?
I'm very tired.
Are you?
Very tired.
I feel like we were both very energetic, though.
Yeah, energetic, but inside
tired.
I'm very tired.
I'm dying inside. I'm actually dead inside.
As you know, there's been the US elections.
I don't know when this episode is coming out, though, so matter. I don't know. No, it does, though, because they could be coming out in 3 weeks' time, and who knows. Yes, but you've been sleeping very well.
No, I haven't.
No?
That's why I'm tired.
Sorry. Oh, well, I've been sleeping.
You're dead to the world, but you're
I've been sleeping great with my mask.
Earplug. I mean, literally.
Today, when you woke me, I was like, gone. I was out. I was out.
It was the shoe.
I was like, go away. Because you know when you're still in a dream and somebody wakes you and you're like, I just want to finish the dream. But then you can't actually go back to it.
Yeah, anyway,
I don't know why that my notes say that last week we interviewed George, aka Full Figure Full or Bust, because we didn't. That was the week before. There was actually an episode in between, but we did. We interviewed her a while ago, and it was very nice, and we loved that episode. And if you missed it, then please go and have a listen.
And we have another guest.
Yes.
On today's show.
I know, which is exciting.
It is, yes.
Yeah, I love having guests. Don't you?
It's good, isn't it?
I mean, we can't actually have guests in person now.
That'd be weird, just in the bedroom.
It's quite nice to have them on the podcast via Skype.
Yeah,
so
this week we're talking to Renee from the Mum Room podcast. She's all the way there in Canada.
Yeah, I don't know why I wanted to say Australia. Nowhere near Australia. Yes, she is a podcaster and is on Instagram and on TikTok. She has an amazing blog. She talks about parenting, motherhood. She has young kids herself, and we will be talking to her in a minute. But before that, today, I thought it would be nice to just throw into the mix a few parenting hacks that can help people through these challenging times. A lot of people are stuck at home with their kids, you know?
Well, more so than normal. Depending where you live, I mean, you're probably in some kind of lockdown. Here in the UK, they've just announced another lockdown effectively. Yes. So we can't go to anyone else's house. No one can come over here. We can't meet up with people. Why are you laughing?
No, because you're saying it's like so depressed.
I am depressed.
No, but we're here to spread joy, and what what we want is to help any parents out there who have children, young children especially, at home more than usual, with a few hacks that we have found,
which we've used,
and still use.
They're very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
So listen, when it comes to parenting, the number one hack, I think honestly, if there was like we had to vote in the world.
You were told this by women on a plane.
The number one hack is snacks. In fact, I did a whole video called The Number One Secret to Motherhood is Snacks.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it really is. Because you know that story about the plane. Yes. This woman had like 7 kids on a plane and they were all behaving so nicely. And I had one baby. She was 4 months old and I was freaking out. And I couldn't understand how her kids were so well behaved. And she then took out this massive bag of snacks and told me, this is how they
behave. Stuff their face.
She said it. Her exact words actually were, every time one of them makes a sound, I just shove a biscuit in their mouth.
All her kids were enormous, by the way. Yeah.
Eating disorder.
She said, I mean, it wasn't 7 kids. It was 2 kids, but they took up 7 seats.
Oh my God. You know what? They were big, but they were happy. No, I'm kidding. They were not big. I think she only did it on flights. But anyway, snacks is good, right? So you have to make sure.
Especially when you pick them up from school,
you got
nursery.
Snacks.
How was your day? Even before you ask, just have this.
What do you mean, how's your day? I feel very offended, by the way, how our kids, how do you say it, greet us when they see us. They literally don't say hello. They just go, what did you get me?
Yeah, and they're disappointed with something healthy.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, I had it yesterday.
Apple.
Oh, another apple. And one of the twins started moaning. And my other twin actually went, no, Daddy's bought you, and reeled off all the lovely things I had that week.
Oh, I know which one it was.
Yeah.
My favorite. No, but it's true. It's very annoying. And you're like, oh, I missed you so much because 6 hours were enough for me to actually miss you. And then in 5 seconds.
Don't want the apple.
Yeah, you're like, oh, actually, I didn't miss you at all.
You know what? Yeah, go back to school. Exactly.
Exactly.
This is a great one as well, especially during sort of lockdown or whatever.
Tell me.
Turn chores into games. So let's say you've lost your car keys, sunglasses, wallet. Turn it into a fun treasure hunt.
only you could give the example of losing things and and say that is a chore.
Yeah.
That is not a chore.
Can't be asked. Oh, where are the car keys? Where are the house keys? Kids, we're going to play a game.
Yay, let's clean the house. It's a great game. Come, let's hang that. But it's true. You can do that like when they're little, obviously, but you can. Now our children ask us for money.
Yeah.
I'm like, come, help me with the laundry. What are you going to pay me?
They're going to want a pound out of it.
Awful children we are raising. Okay, trips in cars are really challenging for parents. God. Am I right? Like, awful. So I think the most obvious one is an iPad, right?
Well, like, I mean, but they're expensive. We got 3 kids. We can't. I mean, we borrowed one from a friend.
We borrowed.
We don't have one.
No, but my point is, like, screen time and all the rules around screen time, I feel can go out the window.
Well, it's a long journey.
When you're traveling
over like
car.
An hour, and they go, "Mummy, Daddy, can I bring them whatever it is?"
Yeah, but how do you cope with the fighting? Because I don't know anybody listening out there. Our kids can bicker and fight in the car like there's no tomorrow,
or
screaming,
or just really just noisy.
Yeah.
Had it last week.
I love what this guy did. This is an old hack. I don't know if you can see. So those of you who are watching on YouTube could see. So he built this guy,
He's got 3
right?
kids like we have.
It was viral a few years ago. He built like these partitions.
Cardboard dividers between the car seats. So they can't see each other. Like 3 separate booths. It's brilliant.
I think that's so good.
It is brilliant. It's a great idea. You know?
I wonder if he did it for him and his wife as well. For the front seat. I wonder. Okay. Other things. So other hacks now that have not to do with lockdown necessarily, but things that we like doing. Well,
another one we do, because we do get a lot of deliveries, especially during lockdown. Never throw a big delivery box away. And one of us was arguing about one got a box and she didn't.
Literally.
They can provide hours of fun. Get a box, either put a toddler in there with crayons, let them draw away, paint, whatever, buckets, brushes, whatever. Or the other thing now, our kids are slightly older, like collecting shit. They want boxes for Lego and stuff. So a box comes, you get someone, I want a box. You give them a box to go, now you can sort that up upstairs. You know those things you've got? Here's a great box for all that. They're gone for an hour.
It's true. You know, it's like, I always thought it was a bit hyped up and like it's not real. It's like exaggerated. It's not. This is true. They love
Christmas
boxes.
Time, when the toddlers would play with the box more than the actual toy.
But even now, they're not even toddlers. They're 9 and 7 years old. They still love a freaking box.
Love a box.
They love a box. Okay, other things that we used to do, still do, can't really do anymore, annoyingly, was, for example, when we would secretly eat snacks that we didn't want them to eat, you know, like chocolate, biscuits, whatever, crisps. They didn't want them to eat. And you'd have like your mouth full of stuff and they'd go, what are you eating? I would just say pepper.
Wow.
And they believed me. Wow. Or say things are spicy.
Pepper. That's the one you still do.
Spicy. I still do that one.
Like it's too spicy.
I know, and they believe me still with this. It's really spicy.
You know? One day they're going to find out all these years that you've been lying.
All these years.
We'll tell them when they're about 30.
I know, can't wait. Or they'll start liking spicy food.
This is another good one for people with babies and toddlers. Bath time is always quite scary.
Yeah.
You know, not leaving them while they fall in the bath. Yeah. All these things.
And it's quite boring. Like, it's nice. It's nice, but it's also like every night. Every night.
I hate it. No, you're right. So this is the great one. You know the laundry baskets you get with holes in them? It's easiest to lift. Get a laundry basket, put your toddler in there and all the toys. The water's getting in and out all the holes. They can't fall over, and all their toys are grabbable. They can't lean forward and fall over.
Oh, I didn't realise that that's what that hack was. Do you know what I thought it was? I thought it is that you just give the bath in the laundry basket. It doesn't have holes and you can just take it from one room to another. So you could be sat like in another room in the house and they're having a bath right there and you're just, you know, doing something else.
This is the laundry basket with holes in it.
Yeah, this one has holes. No.
It's very clever,
that is clever.
Maybe take the washing out first.
Yes. Or leave it in there and wash it at the same time.
Amazing.
Right? The other thing we used to do, I don't know if you remember this, because again, bedtime, really nice, magical moment of the day, yes, but sometimes you just do not want to read another book, especially when they ask you to read Cinderella again after you've read it like 500 times. We used to skip pages, didn't we? I mean, for years, all the stories were very short. You know, we'd do the first happily ever after, and they believed that was the story.
I don't know why you reminded me. My best friend Steve told me this story. He took his kids when they were little to one of these like Disney on Ice or one of these, what was a pantomime. It was a kids show basically, and he was there, and it was awful. It was noisy, and then it came to the interval. The lights came up, and he went, "Okay, kids, that's it. We're off." They're like, "What? That's it. It's finished. It's finished. That's it. Yeah, the lights come. That's it." And he basically pretended the interval was the end of the show. And they're like, but that character, what happened to Sarah? I don't know. It wasn't a very good show, was it? I just left and pretended it was the end of the show.
Oh, that's great hilarious. Idea. That is hilarious. Okay, well, this was fun. You see, I think like this was helpful. Let us know if any of this, was helpful. But now we're gonna go to the main course,
the main event,
the main event, which is our chat with the lovely Renee Reina, who is a podcaster. She's also on Instagram and on TikTok. She has a successful blog. She's a new mom, and she talks about parenting, motherhood. She's like the best friend that you wish you had, and she's very funny as well.
She is.
She uses humor in her TikTok, and I came across her on TikTok. Actually, is how I discovered her. She's based in Toronto, and here she is. Hello. So welcome, Renee. It's so great having you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
I love the clap because I do the clap.
Yeah.
I do the clap.
Yes,
yeah.
You're having some embarrassing moments.
I've had many embarrassing moments with the clap. I might tell you about them in a minute. Welcome. You're in Toronto, right?
Yes, just outside of Toronto, like 45 minutes outside.
Wow, and it's I know I was, but it's very early for you. Really appreciate you kind of coming on the show really early. It's like, what is it, 8 in the morning?
It's 8:30, and I've already showered. I put on makeup for you guys.
Wow, thank you.
I put my hair in. This is my fancy top bun. It's like, it's more refined than what I usually have. So this is for you guys.
Thank you very much.
I love it. I love how the mom bun, by the way, is such a theme in everything that you do. Wait, for those of you who don't know who Renee is, she is a new mom. She is a podcaster at the Mom Room podcast. And I discovered you through your TikTok. And your mom bun is like a massive thing on your TikTok. So how did that happen?
I honestly, I don't know how it became such a thing. I was like, doesn't everyone just wear their hair in a messy bun? And especially I started making all my TikToks, really putting effort and posting a lot of them during quarantine. And I was like, well, I can't look any other way in quarantine. So, and then people were obsessed with my hair, and it just became this thing. So now I feel like I have to keep it up.
You have to live up to that expectation now with the mama. But I loved the other day how do you say blow dry?
Yeah.
Blow dried your hair, and it was like, who am I? Who is this person? And I was like, that's like so true. Because when you're a mom and you're relatively a new mom, right? It's like, that's it. Your hair is up, out of the way, and you sort of forget about all of that. So tell me about how all of this started, because obviously what you talk about is parenting, motherhood. I know that you have a lot of young moms and moms in general following you. So just tell people what your channels are about.
Yes. So after I had my son when I was almost finished my PhD. So I have a PhD in psychology. So a lot of the stuff that I was trained in were things like defense mechanisms and reflective functioning. So like, how do you interpret like people's behavior or why you feel a certain way? And I didn't think anything of it when I was learning it, obviously. But after I became a mom, I started to really use that way of thinking and like, why do I feel this way? Like, why is my husband bugging me so much? Like, why am I so irritated? And so what I started first writing my blog about these things that I just couldn't believe once I became a mom, like the physical recovery part. That blew my mind. Like, I was not expecting it to be so hard. And then not wanting visitors. I expected, just like you see all the time, like it's just so expected that you have a baby and then you have visitors like funneling through your house.
You see it in the movies, don't you? It's like this house full of people and everybody, and the baby and the mom's just sitting there and she's smiling.
As well.
Yes. And I was like,
biscuit.
I was like, absolutely not. I do not want anybody in my house at all. And so I would write about these things. And then what I found was moms were reaching out to me like, oh my God, me too. But, you know, like they didn't feel like they could say anything, and they felt bad for telling their in-laws that they didn't want visitors or whatever it might be. So it started with the blog and the Instagram. And then once quarantine happened, I got into TikTok. And so I just kind of translated all that content then into TikToks and then into the podcast. So that's kind of how that happened. And then right before quarantine started here, I finished my PhD. So I kind of didn't have that pressure of school on me anymore. So I just went like full focused into social media stuff.
So for those of you who are listening in, we're talking to Renee from the Mom Room podcast, and also Instagram and on TikTok. Sorry, I cut you up.
I was just going to say, you mentioned the quarantine there, and here in the UK, we're effectively having our second lockdown. How's it been in Toronto? How they dealt with it in Canada, and has, bizarrely, as you kind of touched upon, quarantine kind of helped you in the work you do, because presumably it's given you that time.
Yeah, for us specifically, my husband's a physician, so his, like, that whole part of our family didn't change at all. Like, if anything, he was a little bit busier because things were taking longer at the hospital with like the sanitation and everything. And so we're very lucky in that sense that, you know, he still had his full-time job. So we didn't have to worry like financially. Also, I think we were lucky that he was out of the house while I was home with my toddler, because like we would have, you know, I would have got annoyed. But I think Canada took it very seriously, just when I see the news in comparison to how other places have handled it, especially being near Toronto, because it is such a major center. They had, you know, the higher numbers, and so they kind of really had strict regulations and guidelines. And then slowly, like very slowly, they started lifting certain things. So just recently, like things were starting to feel a little bit back to normal, but they just recently cut down more things again. Like they closed down gyms, they closed down like in-restaurant dining. So yeah, now we're just kind of at a place where we're like, okay, is this gonna get worse? Are we heading, you know, towards another quarantine or lockdown? Or
God, I hope not.
Yeah,
I hope not. I really do. You know, I was in Toronto just before everything like shit hit the fan. Like honestly, I was there. And it's crazy. It's nearly been a year, which is what's crazy, by the way. I was going to say something. So I know that you talk a lot on the blog and also on the podcast about motherhood and parenting, and you are a new mom. So for any new moms out there, like definitely check your podcast out and your blog. And you talk about mom guilt and about all of that. And there's a lot of judgment when it's like in the mom community. Like I used to talk about that a lot.
Yeah, that's how you started.
Yeah, I feel like now in my 40s and my kids are a little bit older, I just don't give a fuck what anybody thinks anymore. So mom guilt went out the window and all of that a few years ago when we forgot our daughter's birthday. So once that happens, do you know what? Nothing worse can happen after that. But I know that you get a lot of stick, like you do. I see sometimes your kind of TikToks, how you handle the hate, which by the way, I think is great, because as long as you can keep the humor in place and not like fall into these deep, dark holes that we can fall into by internet trolls, it's really great. So tell us a little bit about that kind of judgment, hate, and how you deal with it.
Yeah. A lot, like I would say 95% of the feedback and response that I get is so positive. And like, it's so nice to get messages from young, like first time moms around the world, and their messages, like I could cry. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know, like I'm just putting my thoughts out there and my interpretation of things, and to know that it just helps people in any kind of way is so nice. But then the comments, like on TikTok and on Instagram, I almost like thrive off of them for some reason. Because
It increases engagement. I don't know how trolls haven't figured that out yet. Like, bring it on. My post is on fire because of you.
I know. It's
Thank you.
I'll get one negative comment, and then every mom that follows me is like,
I know. And you're like,
on attack mode.
With the popcorn.
Yeah, and then you just see your comments like go up and up and up and up. I'm like, all right. And then the thing that I love about TikTok is the video reply. Like, it's the greatest thing in the world because it gives you the chance to reply to their comment publicly. And I love that. Yeah. Instagram.
I've never used that feature, by the way. I know you use that a lot. I know. So is it like addictive? Like, you just get into it and that's it?
Like, I'll see a comment and I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a good one. And, and then I post it, and then usually those TikToks do very well. But yeah, I think there's different levels of comments. Like, there's ones where, they just don't agree with something that I'm saying, and, that's fine. I just move on from it. There's some that are, you can tell that they're writing something to boost their own self-esteem, like, in that moment. Yeah. And then there's ones that are just complete nonsense, and clearly they're just a miserable person. So it's kind of like I gauge what kind of troll comment it is.
Yeah. Each troll. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier about the PhD, and I know that, you obviously have a PhD, and I know that that's also sometimes people will say, oh, you're at home, what you doing, and all that. And you kind of like, you sort of, well, actually, this is what I'm doing. But I am curious though, because it makes me sometimes laugh. I don't know if you know this, but I trained as an attorney and I actually practiced law for a few years before I came here. So sometimes when I look at my life, I think, how did this happen? Like, how is it that what I'm actually doing for a living is prancing around my knickers, in my garden? And that happens on a daily basis. So I do sometimes ask. I don't have an issue with it because I much more enjoy prancing around my knickers than, performing in court. But do you get that? Do people like in your family or friends or anybody kind of go, oh my God, Renee, what has happened? Is this a nervous breakdown? Is this what it looks like? Do people say that to you?
I love that question because when people say things like, so you're just not going to use your PhD? And I'm like, no, I use it every day. I speak to people. I'm writing. I'm, thinking out content. I can research the shit out of like anything, like nobody's business. I do use it. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without it. And also I was never like the kind of academic that was like, oh, I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. Like, no, I just loved being in school. I love the school environment, and I was getting like scholarships, funding. Like, it was just easy for me to stay in school. I traveled all over the place for conferences, and it was like, who wouldn't want to stay in school and do work at home in your pajamas? And so, yeah, I stayed in school as long as possible. Do I feel bad that I'm not working a 9-to-5 job like in a research institute right now? No, I don't. And our family dynamic is such that I don't have to right now. So we're kind of like, once after quarantine, like the podcast was doing so well. My social media stuff was doing so well. I'm starting to write a book. We were just, as a family, we just decided, okay, let's just keep this going and see what happens. Because right now it doesn't make sense for me to commute 45 minutes into downtown Toronto to work. My husband is on call. He's super busy, and we need somebody who is at home, like with Milo. Yeah. So yeah, no, I like those comments, and I just think every family has a different situation, so I don't feel bad about it.
You've done some posts about the momster syndrome.
Oh, the momster.
Yeah, momster. So I say, I can't pronounce it properly. Can you explain to people what that is and where that kind of came from?
Yeah, so shortly after I had Milo, I was listening to a podcast randomly, and they were talking a lot about imposter syndrome, which, I totally know what that feels like to have, because being in grad school, that's how you feel. You feel like you're constantly being evaluated, like, you know, you're not good enough, you need to be doing more. So when they were talking about imposter syndrome and kind of going over the definition of it, I was like, wow, if you just changed around some of the words in this definition and like called it mom-poster syndrome, that's literally how most moms feel. So the first thing I did with that was write a blog post about it. And it was kind of more so about, you know, what are the things that contribute to moms feeling that way? And so I had things like social media, unsolicited advice, you know, the one research study that people obsess over, and then, you know, 3 months later it's disappeared and nobody cares about it anymore. Yeah, like, and the hashtag blessed moms, I love that topic as well. So yeah.
Hashtag homemade. Oh my God. I hope that, is that your, the title of your book, by the way? Can you tell us, or?
No, like that'll be a chapter. That'll be a chapter, but it's not the title.
That's a great title.
Maybe it should be the title.
It should be. It's so good. Like, it really is good. I love it. So how did the podcast come about? Like, obviously you were doing the blog and you kind of, you started social media and all of that was taking off, and the podcast came after, right? Or am I wrong? Because I was following you on TikTok, and only when I started following you on Instagram did I see the podcast, but it seemed like it was just starting.
Yeah, the podcast I started on July 1st of this year, and it was literally just me being in quarantine. Like, I need to do something that makes me feel like I'm doing something. So I learned everything on my own, like researched like the different programs to use, like about microphones. Like, why do I know so much about like audio all of a sudden? And yeah, I didn't expect it to do so well, but I'm so happy that it does. And I basically talk about all the topics that I write about or that I TikTok about. And then on top of that, I have professionals come in and talk about, you know, things like pelvic floor health, speech language pathology, like behavior stuff with toddlers, like all kinds of topics. And I've been so lucky because all the people who have come on, every time I do an episode, I'm like, wow, like, this is amazing. This episode is amazing. And so I've just really lucked out with the people that I've had on. And then I also do solo episodes where it's just kind of me talking to myself in my closet about about different things. Yeah.
Have you done a mom hack one yet?
No.
You should do one. This episode is about mom hacks. So yeah, I mean, we've been talking about been talking about mom hacks.
Nice.
So yes, we have. We've been talking about mom hacks. Seamless. Renee, this was such a pleasure. Really, I'm so happy that we got to meet in person.
Yes.
And Toronto is one of my favorite places. I've been there twice now, so I'm hoping that I will get to go again one day. And when I do, I will hopefully see you, actually meet you in person.
Yes, definitely.
So for anybody who wants to find you and wants to follow you and wants to listen more, read more, where can they do that?
So I'm on TikTok and Instagram mostly at the.mom.room. My blog is reneerena.com. And then the podcast is the Mom Room Podcast, and it's pretty much everywhere that you can listen to podcasts, I guess.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. You guys go check her out and subscribe. And thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's it. What a packed show that was. Marvellous. There we go. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of To Death Do Us. Well, please leave us a review.
Yeah.
Come on. If you're there on iTunes
just do it.
And you like it, you've done the next episode,
it.
Just click the 5 stars. Great show. Go and check it out. If you hated it, please don't. Well, that's it. We'll be back next week.
We will. Bye, everybody.
Bye.